Welcome to the Butterfly Effect, brought to you by Moss Adams. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 19 of the 2021 Tour de France. 207 kilometers long, about 130 miles, and it's mostly flat. There is one little climb very early in the stage, right after 4 or 5 kilometers, but it's only 2 kilometers long and about 5%, so it's nothing very complicated. Now, let's pretend you're Deceuninck Quick-Step and I'm interviewing you before the stage starts. You have Mark Cavendish. He has a chance to break the legendary Eddie Merckx's record and take 35 stage victories on today's stage if he should win. Now, I'll give you a scenario and I say, hey, Patrick Lefebvre, the manager for Deceuninck Quick-Step, you have a chance on today's stage, and I'll give you 2 scenarios you can pick from. We'll have a 6-man break, take off early in today's stage with 0 effort from Deceuninck Quick-Step to control the break. And we'll give you 2 teams, DSM and Alpecin Phoenix, to help you control a flat stage with 0 wind. And everybody knows it's going to be a sprint victory for somebody. Now, if you're sitting there at the table and we all say, okay, who's your favorite to win today's sprint? So if you make it a sprint, come out of the last corner, down the straightaway, whatever you want to call it for today's sprint, if you got to pick a guy, who would you pick? All of us would pick Mark Cavendish, right? Nobody has beaten Mark Cavendish at this year's Tour de France. He has 4 wins already, and he can break the record with 5. And I just gave you the first scenario of having multiple teams help you control a stage that has 0 wind. Okay, it's a fabulous scenario. 6 guys going up the road, 3 teams working together. It's a field sprint. You break the legendary Eddie Merckx's record today. Instead, let me give you another scenario. You got 26 guys up the road, more or less. Whatever the number was, it was huge. And you have 1 guy in that break, and you're going to put the hopes of breaking Eddie Merckx's record on Chris Froome and his Israel Startup Nation pulling back 26 guys up the road. Now, viewers, which one would you pick? Scenario 1 or scenario 2? I mean, we gotta believe you would all go with scenario 1, right? Unless you're crazy or you don't know what the hell is going on in bike racing. Well, it's scenario 2 that they're gonna go with. Okay, the racing starts, 2K in, there's a crash going up the climb, and the group splits with about 50 or 60 guys in the front group, and 6 guys get away. After that is Tadej Pogačar that's controlling the field, trying to slow everyone down. He's arguing with Michael Kwiatkowski, who's following the Trek Segafredo wheel, and he's arguing at Michael Kwiatkowski that he needs to stop pulling. Kwiatkowski looks over to his right. He's like, hey man, this ain't me attacking. I'm following Trek Segafredo. He's right. Michael Kwiatkowski had every right to follow Trek Segafredo. Pogačar should have went up to the Trek rider and argued with him. But anyways, they sit up, everything gets under control. You look in the back, it's Deceuninck Quick-Step at the front with UAE Team Emirates, and they're happy. Everybody's going across the road. It's the perfect scenario I just gave you if you pick door number 1. Okay, Deceuninck Quick-Step don't want door number 1. It's been handed to them on a silver platter, folks. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's been layered. It's this beautiful cake. It's got multiple layers. It's got jelly in the middle, cream at the top, and the best frosting you've ever seen in your entire life. And on the top, it says, Mark Cavendish, congratulations, you've won number 35. You've beaten Eddie Merckx's record. It's delivered on a silver platter to you, and we're going to have 2 sprint teams get on the front. Alpecin Phoenix is on the front, DSM's on the front, and they're controlling things nicely. They'll control it to about 60K into the stage when the sprint points come. Sprint points, it's a little bit of a drag. Mark Cavendish eases up. Michael Matthews takes the sprint, no problem. Then all of a sudden, for the next 15, 20 kilometers, Deceuninck Quick-Step never gets on the front. No one is controlling the store, okay? It's a free store. It's a candy store. And you've added in a bunch of teenagers in there, and they all got backpacks, and they all just finished school, and they're all hungry, and you've left the store unattended. Deceuninck Quick-Step has never taken the front throughout this stage, and now we're 70 kilometers into the stage. Niels Paulette, Bora Hansgrohe starts the attacks. 6 guys still up the road for 4 minutes. but no sprinter team has bothered to control the front of the group for almost 20 kilometers. I'm talking DQS Quick Step here, okay? Now, facts start going. Next thing you know, it's like 26 guys going up the road. There's a group of 6 up front with Matej Mohoric up there from Bahrain Victorious. Another group of 26 chasing about 3 minutes back, and then the group of the field. On the field, it's Bahrain Victorious and Israel Startup Nation with a little bit of help from Bike Exchange chasing. No DQS Quick Step anywhere, because they got one guy in the break of 26, right? Now remember, let's go back to the beginning of the stage. If I said you can have a field sprint with Mark Cavendish, and we all picked Mark Cavendish to win this stage hands down, and now you're saying you're happy DQS Quick Step because you got one guy in a group of 26 who's actually pulling through with that group of 26 and another group of 6 up the road. Those are the odds that you want to take on today's stage instead of that magical, delicious cake, 35th victory cake that I offered you on a silver platter at the beginning, but you don't want to ride the front. Nope, not going to happen. So what happens? The group of 26, you got Bahrain Victorious chasing. They got a Bahrain Victorious rider up the front with Mohoric, who's already won at this year's Tour de France. Why are they chasing? No one from Bahrain Victorious has beat Cavendish yet. No one from Israel Startup Nation has beat Cavendish yet. Funniest thing, Ineos get on the front and start chasing. I mean, we're talking Ineos that have 0 chance of winning a sprint on today's stage. They want to bring that move back just because they missed the move. I'd have said, hell, missed the move. Mark Cavendish, you want to win 35? You better get on the front and put your DQS Quick Step guys on the front. But no, they're happy. They got one guy in 26. That group of 26 starts playing tactics. They start attacking each other with Niels Pollet, and 3 Movistar riders come off the back. Cortina, Valverde, and one other. I don't know who he was. 3 in a group of 6. That group was like 24, 25, whatever the number was. It was huge. 6 come off the back of that group, and 3 are Movistar. And it's the only 3 that they had in the break. So Movistar guys sit up. They ride themselves completely out of the break. Great job, Movistar. You haven't won anything, and you just sat up and let the break of the day go. Now the rest of the guys, they keep rotating through. They'll catch the group of 6, and the chasing has been furious from behind with multiple teams chasing. Ineos, great job. You don't even have a sprinter, but you're chasing for Mark Cavendish's DQS Quick Step team. Finally, Bahrain Victorious blow up, and it's Israel Startup Nation on the front. Chris Froome pulling as hard as he possibly can. Mark Cavendish, the chance of winning, number 35 today, is in the hands of Israel Startup Nation, pulling back a 20-plus size break. Are you kidding me? DQS Quick Step still don't get on the front. That gap explodes. By the finish of today's stage, that huge breakaway will have over 17 minutes on the field of GC guys with green jersey wear, and Mark Cavendish getting no chance for the second time. They gave up stage 13 when Niels Pollet won that stage with DQS Quick Step, willing to play Alaphilippe for the win instead of bringing Mark Cavendish for a chance back there for another stage win. Then he tied the record the next day. Now he's got a chance to beat it, but they're happy with Davide Ballerini in the group of 20 up the road. With 50 kilometers to go, Mohoric is riding fabulous. He's the first to throw in the big attack, and that's when the race gets exciting. It's blowing up all over the place. We're talking about 3-4 groups all chasing each other because the break was so big. 24 kilometers to go. We'll see DQS Quick Step's beautiful tactic on today just absolutely fall apart as Davide Ballerini goes out the back with his jersey covered in salt. There's no way he can close the gap. His chance at winning today's stage is over, and DQS Quick Step have just taken that cake and smashed it straight into their face of Mark Cavendish. Up the road, it's Ballerini is coming out the back. It's Matej Mohoric going up the road from 24 kilometers to go. With about 20K to go, this is when you know the boy was flying, and he's seeing everything as sharp and clear as eagle eyes. There's a right turn coming up. He's on the left side of the island. He realizes he's going to have to lose speed if he stays on the left side. Instead of that, he hops the island to the right side, dives through the right turn, makes the turn without even losing a heartbeat or a stroke on the pedals. He'll solo all the way into the finish to take his second win, third for Bahrain victorious at this year's 2021 Tour de France. It was amazing. Behind, Christophe Laporte will get second. The field will finish 17 minutes back, and Mark Cavendish has zero chance to win today's stage. If I was Mark Cavendish, I'd be furious. But if I was Mark Cavendish, I'd have put my team on the front. If you've already won 4 stages at this year's Tour de France, you're getting ready to break Eddie Merckx's record, and you don't have the balls to put your team on the front when you can have 2 other teams working. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. The tactics were horrendous and some of the worst I've ever seen, but they make for spectacular bike racing. So I loved every minute of today's stage. Now I'll go back just to kill any kind of doubt that some of you viewers might have on how hard it might have been to control today's stage. The only reason there was any attacks made after the sprint points was because no sprinter team was on the front. If Alpecin Phoenix had stayed on the front, there wouldn't have been any attacks. If the Koenig Quickstep had ridden on the front, put 5 guys, only riding 1 up there with the Alpecin Phoenix rider, you would have 3 Alpecin Phoenix riders, 5 the Koenig Quickstep rider, 1 or 2 DSM riders. Once the field is back there, you would never see an attack. That is like walking into a police station and trying to rip them off. It is not going to happen if you got 3 sprinter teams on the front. But when all the sprinter teams want to disappear, when the Koenig Quickstep wants to do 0 to win, number 35 for Mark Cavendish is on today's stage. Mark Cavendish is going to have to wait for the last stage at this year's Tour de France to be able to break Eddie Merckx's record. And keep in mind, if he doesn't break it on the last day, he's got to come back to the Tour de France again. When he comes back to the Tour de France again, you think Caleb Ewan is going to be there? I believe he will. Sam Bennett will be there. Pascal Ackermann will be there. Peter Sagan will be fresh and not have been crashed on stage 3. There will be more sprinters at next year's Tour de France early in that race than we have ever seen at this year's race since stage 3, when everybody crashed out to basically take out all of the top sprinters out of this year's Tour de France. Mark Cavendish, the stars have been aligned for him in the whole universe to break Eddie Merckx's record. And today, what do? They want to start moving stars and planets around so that they can not win today's stage. Catastrophic in my opinion. Hope you like my take on the butterfly effect, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the time trial stage 20 at the Tour de France.